What's going on, guys? The Front Three is back for Transfer News Weekly. This might have just been delayed by a little bit, but this is episode 3. Yes, we missed a couple weeks ago, but we made up for it last week nonetheless. So first, we'll get into it. Obviously, there has been some Ronaldo talk, of course, of today, like the headline of this video says. We won't really get into that right now. It'll be more of kind of a viewer kind of debate. In the comments below, tweet us at the front three and all that. Will Ronaldo come back? There's been speculation today of him saying there's possibility, but that's been every year. But anyways, we'll go on right now to Everton. Obviously, this week we'll cover the whole week. Romelu Lukaku, £28 million move to Everton, 5-year deal. Cookie, what do you think of this? Obviously, now that they have Lukaku as their guy, is this just for Arsenal? Does this kind of scare you a little bit?
It certainly strengthens Everton in a really good way. They needed Lukaku. He was so good for them last season, and to be continuing with them, it's going to strengthen his development. And he's a very young player. He's only early 20s, and it does sound like a lot of money. I saw a load of people over social media criticising the price tag, but you've got to remember, he's 21 years old. He's probably going to guarantee Everton at least over 15 goals, and he's going to last them, another 8, 9, 10 years. He's an absolutely perfect buy for Everton. But I think Everton are going to kind of be a stepping stone of a team. I think when he gets properly noticed, I think he could end up at somewhere like Real Madrid or Barcelona in 2 or 3 years' time when he's banging in over 20 goals a season. But he's a quality buy for them at the moment. He's going to really give them that push that they need for Champions League football, as well as in domestic competitions such as the FA Cup. I think it's a bit silly of Chelsea to get rid of him and then replace him with a 36-year-old Didier Drogba.
That's what I thought.
It doesn't make sense to me at all. But quality bit of business for Everton. Excellent investment. And if they do sell him in the future, they're definitely going to make a return on that. So excellent business by Everton. Probably not the smartest of moves by Chelsea.
Yeah, I agree with you there. Now, the whole thing, guys, if you haven't really living under a rock this week, the whole thing was Lukaku almost, I wouldn't say wanted a guarantee of the first choice spot, but he wanted a certain amount of games, and obviously with Mourinho being the way he is, he couldn't really guarantee that himself. Anyways, we'll just go through. I'll read them off, the next little couple Everton ones that they've done this week. They got Mohamed Besic. Obviously, he played within the World Cup for Bosnia and Herzegovina. £4 million there. Obviously, they got Gareth Barry, I believe it was last week, for obviously it wasn't free. Brendan Galloway from MK Dons was today. 18-year-old there was undisclosed. Sorry, I'm reading this kind of fast. Well, next we'll go to Crystal Palace. We haven't done them since we've done this series. They've done quite a decent amount of business, obviously getting Fraser Campbell for £900,000 earlier in the week, and then obviously yesterday getting Breda Hangland on a free. Cookie, obviously with the way that Palace ended the season, can they kick on? Obviously they play Arsenal first. Can they kick on? Can they have a mid-table season, or could they do even better?
I mean, obviously last season when Pulis came in January time, I thought that he did an excellent job of turning that club around. When they looked like they were definitely going to go down early on in the season, he kept them up, did excellently with that team. And are they going to be able to push on from that? I mean, they came mid-table. They came very close to finishing 10th or something. I can't quite remember off the top of my head, but I don't know how much further they could push on from that. That top 10 of the table is going to be really hard to break through into, but they brought in an experienced player in Breda Hangland, captain at Fulham. He's going to do really well at Crystal Palace, in my opinion, and he's going to compete with their other centre-halves. So an excellent bit of business there to get him on a free. Fraser Campbell for £900,000, excellent deal there. He's going to get them a few goals. And I think they've already got the foundations of a really good team. They've got young players such as Dwight Gale, who I really highly rate. Whilst they've also got experience such as Breda Hangland, players like Maro and Shamak. Their team is really gelling well together with a few more additions. I certainly think that Pulis can boost them, but I think it's going to be really hard to top what they did last season.
Yeah, and right now we're going to go to the one team I never thought we'd actually discuss. Stoke City. They signed Bojan from Barcelona for £3 million. Is he going to work out? Obviously, he's been bouncing around at some quite big clubs recently, I'll say Barcelona, Ajax, among others. Is this just a move downwards? Is this just his career tanking, or what is this?
Given that he was probably one of the most highly rated prospects in world football about 3 years ago, to go to Stoke, it is a step down in his career, considering where he's been at clubs like Ajax, Barcelona. it really is a step down. But again, he could be using them as a stepping stone. He hasn't really got much game time at wherever club he's been. He was such a highly rated player a few years ago, but he never really pushed on from that. He wasn't given a proper chance at Barcelona. I know they re-signed him, but they never played him. They sent him out on loan again. They never gave him another chance, and Stoke have snapped him up. Obviously, he wants game time. Mark Hughes must have done an awful lot of persuading, and he's got to be given credit there to get him into the team, because he really must have persuaded him quite heavily. You can assume that he's going to play every single game at Stoke, and you'd also assume he's going to do well there, and possibly in the near future he'll be snapped up by a bigger team. And Stoke very could get the best out of him, but he doesn't really strike me as a Stoke kind of player. I mean, he's a more technical, tiki-taka kind of player. He's not, the Charlie Adam kind of player that you associate with Stoke.
But is this Mark Hughes trying to change Stoke? That's what I'm starting to wonder.
Yeah, you've got to respect that by him, but Stoke don't really have that kind of player. I think Hughes, I can totally respect what he's doing, because Stoke aren't well renowned for playing that kind of football, but they're also getting Asaidi, is it, from Liverpool? If they could get him, who's one of those more technically gifted kind of players, tiki-taka, can run it, bomb down the wings, players like that, players like Bohan, if they integrate more players like this into their side, they certainly could be playing more attractive football. I mean, I certainly think Mark Hughes took them up to the next level last season. They had a really good, strong finish in mid-table, which was good for them considering where they've been in the past, and they were playing much more attractive football, which you don't associate with Stoke. Hughes has got them playing excellently, but players like this, it certainly will improve the team.
Very true. Now we will go to your beloved Arsenal. Obviously, Emirates Cup was today. Big 5-1 winners. Yaya Sanogo getting 4 goals. I watched that myself and didn't know what to think. But we won't obviously review that. But we will go on to Callum Chambers. Obviously, it's kind of one I didn't see coming, honestly. Obviously, there was speculation, but out of all other players getting linked, and obviously Jenkinson going on loan to West Ham, and I did see your tweet of him not enjoying his time at West Ham. That picture was quite cheeky myself. But what's your opinions on the in and out, really?
Well, first of all, regarding Chambers, it really did hot up last week. I couldn't really understand it myself, considering that we did have Jenkinson in there and we just signed Matthew Debussy. But I think the logic is that Jenkinson's going to go out on loan to West Ham, hopefully improve his calibre, and then we'll have Chambers and Jenkinson competing for that spot. And Chambers, I thought he played really well today. I think he's got the kind of physique of a centre-half. That's where he played today. I thought it was very solid. Hopefully he can build on that, and it does look like Thomas Vermaelen is leaving, so I do expect him to be playing an awful lot more there over the season. He's, of course, only 19 years old, so awful lot of time to prepare and boost himself and bulk himself up. But what really surprises me is how well players like Hector Bellerin are coming through, who played at right back today, and he was just phenomenal for me, one of the best players on the pitch. And what's going to happen when Jenkinson comes back from his loan at West Ham? I mean, it's going to be really hard for him to integrate himself back into that team. I mean, if we've got Bellerin that's had a really good season with us, I can't see him getting that many games. But I think maybe we could start playing Chambers at centre-half the whole season and promote Bellerin to the covering right-back, which does seem logical to me. But then, honestly, I don't know what we'll do with Jenkinson when he comes back. I do feel sorry for the guy. It must be really hard for him being at a club like Arsenal and taking a step down to West Ham. But he's a local lad from around there. Hopefully he'll be in some kind of comfort zone, improve himself, improve his calibre, and we'll hopefully at that point have 3 class right-backs on our hand.
Well, you got to think you'll probably have Debussy for anywheres of, 2 to 3 to maybe even 4 years.
Yeah, I think Debussy is he's a stopgap kind of player. I think he's coming in this season because I really think we're trying to push for a title this season. Really giving it
a bad
all.
stopgap, to be honest.
No, he's a quality stopgap. He's got Premier League experience. He's France's first choice right back. He's going to give us 2-3 years of absolute quality. And by the time he's gone, if he has retired or if he's just winding down the clock a bit, we will have someone like Jenkinson, Bellerin, or Chambers to take his place. And I think that's the logic behind it.
Now we'll go to Hull City here quickly. Obviously, there was 2 quick kind of youngster moves. Obviously, you had Andrew Robinson from Dundee for £2.85 million, and also you had, I can't remember his name and I can't find it here. Oh, what's his name? He played for Sheffield United. Help me out here.
Honestly, can't think of the guy.
I know his face. I can't think of his name, but anyways, everyone probably knows who it is. I'll probably announce it here in a second if I can think of it. Anyways, obviously 2 defenders, obviously a left back and a center back. Harry Maguire, there you go. Harry Maguire Obviously, that was around 3 to 4 million, I do believe. So two kind of youthful moves. Obviously, Hull are in the Europa League this year. Well, with signings like this, does it kind of make you wonder? Obviously, it looks positive for getting signings like that, but do you think Europa League and such things will kind of hinder maybe that direction they want to go? Obviously, they want Europe, but can they handle it this year?
I think it's going to be really tough for them. If you look at Hull on paper, they haven't actually got the biggest of sides. And to have the Europa League, the domestic competitions, and the Premier League, I think it's going to be incredibly difficult for them. And of course, they're going to be playing quite a lot of games in the Europa League, assuming they get through the group stages, which would be a task enough on its own. But Steve Bruce has done excellently with them. They do need to get some players that possibly have Europa League experience. Whether these players do remains to be seen. But I don't know. I think Steve Bruce is going to have to bring in some more experienced players. I mean, there are plenty of players out there who they could get for relatively cheap transfers who play at lesser clubs in Europe, and they're the kind of players I believe Bruce is going to need to bring in.
Exactly. And then right now we'll go to the blue side of Manchester. Obviously, Frank Lampard's side for New York City FC. That's been going on for a while. It was confirmed a while ago, but now there is speculation that he might be playing for Manchester City next season. Obviously, there's a gap between the MLS seasons. He'll be next year when New York City make their debut. Cookie, will this happen? And I kind of want to see it happen, to be honest.
Yeah, I kind of want to see it happen. The bands would be crazy.
I want to see Chelsea fans lose their minds. But really, what would your reaction be? Like, I just have to get input on this.
I don't know. I don't know how many games Lampard would be guaranteed at a club like City, but he's a certain team. He's got experience. He'd help younger players, and he got goals in him still, even at the age of 36 or whatever he is. I do believe the reason he's going to City is because the owners also own the New York City club. But I think they have a club out in Australia, and that's where David Villa is going. I think he's also got the option to go there if he wants to. I don't know if he'd go to City because they're paying more money, or if he's going to be guaranteed game time. I don't know. I don't think he would be. City buying all these players like Fernando, and they've already got players like Yaya Toure who fill those kind of positions. I can't really understand the thinking behind it. But yeah, the ruckus it would cause within the Premier League would be insane. I've already seen some stuff Chelsea fans have been saying about it, and it hasn't even been confirmed yet. But it'd be interesting to see if it happened. It really would be.
And obviously, for me, when I look at that situation, I'm thinking, City, I can't see happening. For me, it's either Melbourne or Uncle Harry's going to come in. That's the only other thing I could think of.
Yeah, QPR strikes me as a club that he would go to. You know, players like Ferdinand there, etc. But would strike me as his kind of club, and they need experience there. But Man City, I don't know why it'd go. It would be such a weird signing. It'd be like when they signed Demi Shellis last season. That seemed really weird. But maybe Pellegrini is an admirer of him, and kind of remains to be seen, really.
Yeah, and with Chelsea, obviously we touched on Didier Drogba, so we won't really touch on it much. Just a really quick thought about it. What is your thought about it? Obviously, you touched on it very briefly, but if you can just touch on it a little more.
Drogba has a presence, but at 36 years of age,
will he haunt you guys again?
He's kind of yeah. I'm gonna dread playing Chelsea now because of this. But has he still got goals left in him? I mean, he's done all right for Galatasaray. He hasn't been superb for them. He's done all right for the Ivory Coast during the World Cup, but again, not someone that stood out at 36 years of age. Can he still keep up with the pace of the Premier League? I mean, it wasn't that long ago that he left, but a lot has changed since then. The game is moving forward at an incredible pace, and when he comes back into it, I don't know what the thinking is. Is he going to play alongside Costa? Is he going to be a stopgap player? Honestly, I have no idea, but it's a really disillusional buy, in my opinion, especially when they've lost out on Lukaku. It's crazy to me.
Yeah, and here, 1 second here, I gotta find the story I just had pop up. Here he is. This one came out obviously for the last couple days here. Juventus confirm Mauricio Isla is set to join Queens Park Rangers on loan. Obviously, he's down the pecking order. For QPR, that has to be an absolute steal of a signing for even a loan. Like, that's ridiculous.
QPR, though, I remember when they had their first stint in the Premier League and they were buying players like Esteban Granero, Junior Hoylett. They were buying players that really did stand out. But when they all came together, they were absolute garbage as a team. So, I don't know. Under Harry Redknapp, maybe you got to know what he's doing.
It has to be different.
Yeah, it's got to be different with him. I think he'll do a really good job with QPR. Honestly, I think he has got a challenge on his hands, but QPR do have those massive resources behind them. They can attract players because of the money they've got, but it really is a case of getting all these players to work together as a team, which obviously has failed in the past, and that's something they're going to really need to adapt to doing in the Premier League, because otherwise they're just going to have a repeat of last time and they're going to be getting relegated.
Yeah, there's honestly, for me, there's no way they're going to do that again. Obviously, the owner will not put his money out like that again, obviously. The likes of Granero apparently are being sold. I can't remember, was it Sevilla that want him, I believe?
I think he's gone, Granero.
Yeah, if not, he's already gone. Obviously, Harry Redknapp said Taarabt might be back. Who knows? He said he'd welcome Remy back if it happens, stuff like that. Obviously, they're also after Leroy Fer and getting into a little bit championship stuff. I'll say it really quickly. Obviously, with the likes of Norwich having players like him and Hooper. I was talking to, obviously, Jack Greif from Talk Norwich City yesterday. Wasn't really too sure what's going on there. But anyways, we're going to wrap it up there, guys. We were only going to do a 10-minute show. It's probably went over that. I can't even remember how long it's been right now. But we will be, obviously, there is the Fantasy League. If you go to www.premierleague.com in the right-hand corner, I'll have a video or probably tomorrow on the channel. Sign up for a Fantasy League. The code is 220837-94559. I'll put it in the comments below and in the description, of course. And if not, if you want to read it, obviously you can just play it back. That is 220837-94559. We already have around 20 people. And the more people we get, guys, will probably the better the prize. If we can get many more people, obviously it'll be a better prize. The less amount, it might affect the size of the prize. Anyways, guys, it's been great talking with you, Cookie. We'll be back next week, Saturday or Sunday, for another look out for the Fantasy League video on how to join and all that stuff. It's, of course, free, and we'll see you guys next time. Ta-da.